I ended a relationship over peanut butter. I don't know if this makes me an asshole, but here we go. I'm still getting texts about it. So I figured I'd ask the internet. 3 weeks ago, my friend Sarah set me up with one of her coworkers. She'd been talking about it for months, actually. Every time we'd hang out, she'd mention this woman. Let's call her Emma, and how we were literally perfect for each other. Sarah works in marketing at some tech startup downtown, and apparently Emma had just transferred to her department from the Austin office. I was skeptical. I've been on exactly 3 setups in my life, and 2 of them were disasters. The third one was fine, but we had zero chemistry and spent the entire dinner talking about her cat's digestive issues. But Sarah was persistent, and honestly, I hadn't been on a date in about 7 months, so I figured why not. She gave Emma my number, and we texted for a few days before setting up a coffee date. The texting was good. She was funny, made references to shows I actually watched, didn't send those weird one-word responses that make you feel like you're bothering someone. I was cautiously optimistic. We met at this place called Copper and Sage on a Saturday afternoon. It's one of those trendy spots with exposed brick and succulents on every table. I got there early because I always get places early, order a black coffee, and sat by the window. Emma walked in at exactly 2 o'clock. Punctual. I liked that immediately. She was pretty, brown hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing jeans and a green sweater. She smiled when she saw me, which felt like a good sign. Some people do this thing where they look disappointed the second they see you in person, like you've already failed some test. She didn't do that. We talked for 2 hours. Not 2 hours where you're checking your phone or looking for an exit. 2 actual hours where I forgot my coffee existed until it was room temperature. She worked in data analytics, which sounds boring, but the way she explained it wasn't. She'd lived in 4 different cities before landing here. She liked hiking, which I'm neutral about, but willing to try. She'd read 3 of the same books I had. When we left, I walked her to her car and asked if she wanted to do it again. She said yes immediately. No games. No, let me check my schedule. Just yes. I drove home feeling good. Really good. I called Sarah and told her she might have actually nailed it this time. We texted every day that week. Nothing intense, just checking in. She sent me a meme about data spreadsheets that made me laugh out loud in the grocery store. I sent her a picture of my dog, Hank, sleeping upside down on the couch. She said he looked like a majestic idiot, which is accurate. For the second date, I suggested the botanical garden. It was early April, and everything was starting to bloom. I'm not a huge flower guy, but the gardens are massive, and it felt like a good place to walk and talk without the pressure of sitting across from each other at a restaurant. She met me there on a Sunday morning. It was one of those perfect spring days where it's just warm enough to not need a jacket. We spent about 3 hours wandering through the different sections. The rose garden, the Japanese Zen area, this tropical greenhouse that was humid and smelled like earth. We were in the greenhouse when she told me. We've been talking about food. Actually, I'd mentioned that I meal prep on Sundays, and she laughed and said she was terrible at planning ahead. Then she said something like, I have to be careful about restaurants anyway because of my allergy. I asked what she was allergic to, expecting shellfish or something. Peanuts, she said. It's pretty severe, like EpiPen level severe. I nodded. That sounds stressful. She shrugged. You get used to it. I've had it my whole life, so I'm pretty good at managing it. I just have to read labels, ask questions at restaurants, that kind of thing. It's mostly fine. Mostly, well, it's always in the back of my mind, especially on dates. She laughed, but it sounded a little nervous. You never know what someone's been eating before they kiss you. I laughed too, but something in my chest tightened. We kept walking. We saw the orchid exhibit. We got lemonade from a stand near the exit. We sat on a bench and watched some kids chase each other around a fountain. I asked if she wanted to get lunch later that week, and she said yes. I hugged her goodbye in the parking lot. She smelled like vanilla and something floral. I told her I'd text her about lunch. I got in my car and sat there for a minute before starting the engine. Peanuts. I drove home on autopilot. Here's the thing. I love peanuts. Not in a weird way. I just eat them constantly. I keep a jar of dry roasted peanuts on my kitchen counter and grab handfuls throughout the day. I make peanut butter toast almost every morning. I put peanut butter in my protein shakes. I make peanut sauce for stir fry at least once a week. There's a half-empty jar of Jif in my pantry and another one in my gym bag. And Hank. God, Hank. Hank is a 5-year-old golden retriever who is obsessed with peanut butter. I freeze it in his Kong toys to keep him busy when I leave for work. I hide his pills in peanut butter. I smear it on a lick mat when he needs to calm down at the vet. He drags those toys everywhere, under the couch, onto my bed, across the living room rug. There's probably peanut butter residue on every surface in my apartment. I sat on my couch that night and looked around. The throw pillows Hank uses as a headrest. The coffee table where I eat peanut butter straight from the jar sometimes. The kitchen counter where I make sandwiches. I thought about what it would take to make my apartment safe for someone with a life-threatening peanut allergy. I'd have to stop buying peanuts entirely. I'd have to throw out everything in my pantry that had peanuts or peanut oil. I'd have to replace Hank's toys. I'd have to deep clean every surface. I'd have to read the label on every single thing I bought from that point forward. I'd have to be vigilant every time I ate out, every time I went to someone's house, every time I came back to my apartment before seeing her. And even then, what if I missed something? What if Hank licked a spot on the floor I didn't clean well enough, and then I touched Hank, and then I touched her? What if I ate something with peanut oil hours before seeing her and didn't think about it? She'd said it was life-threatening. EpiPen level. I thought about that for a long time. I'm not proud of this, but my first thought was, maybe it won't get serious. Maybe we'll date casually for a while, and it won't matter. But that felt shitty. If I was going to a third date, already assuming it wouldn't go anywhere, what was the point? I liked her. I really liked her. The 2 dates we'd had were some of the best first dates I'd ever been on. I could see it going somewhere. I could see introducing her to my friends, spending weekends together, all of that. Which meant eventually she'd come to my apartment. Eventually we'd be in a relationship where my habits affected her safety. And I didn't want to change those habits. I sat with that realization for a while. It felt selfish. It felt stupid. But it was true. I texted Sarah that night. Can I ask you something about Emma? She responded in about 30 seconds. Oh, what happened? Nothing happened. She mentioned she has a peanut allergy. Yeah, she does. Why? How bad is it? Pretty bad. She carries an EpiPen everywhere. Why are you asking? I stared at my phone. I didn't know how to explain it without sounding insane. Just curious. She sent back a thinking emoji and didn't follow up. I spent the next 2 days going in circles. On Monday, I convinced myself I was overthinking it. People manage this stuff all the time. I could just be careful. On Tuesday, I made peanut butter toast for breakfast without thinking about it, and then realized if I'd had plans to see Emma that night, I would have had to cancel. Or not kiss her. Or tell her and hope it was okay. The idea of having to track every single thing I ate felt exhausting. I know how that sounds. I'm aware that I don't want to give up peanut butter is not a noble reason to end things with someone. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it wasn't just about peanut butter. It was about the fact that I didn't want to live in a state of constant vigilance. I didn't want to have to think about cross-contamination every time I loaded the dishwasher or threw a ball for my dog. Some people could do that. Some people would want to do that for someone they cared about. I realized I wasn't one of those people. And if I wasn't willing to make those changes, then I was wasting her time. On Wednesday, I called her. She answered on the second ring. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Hey, I said. Listen, I need to talk to you about lunch on Friday. Oh no, do you need to reschedule? I closed my eyes. Not exactly. I'm sorry, but I don't think we should go. There was a pause. Not a long one, but long enough that I could hear her shift the phone. Okay, is everything all right? Yeah, I don't think this is going to work out long term. Another pause. Longer this time. Can I ask why? I could have lied. I could have said I wasn't ready to date or that I'd gotten back together with an ex or any number of things that would have been easier. But I'd already decided I owed her honesty. It's the peanut allergy, I said. Silence. I'm sorry, what? I eat peanuts all the time, I said. Like constantly. I have peanut butter almost every day. My dog has peanut butter toys that get peanut residue all over my apartment. And I've been thinking about what it would take to date you seriously, and I'd have to change my entire diet and habits, and I don't think I want to do that. More silence. So you're breaking up with me over peanut butter. We're not really. We've only been on 2 dates. I just don't think it makes sense to keep going if I already know I'm not willing to make those changes. There are precautions we can take, she said. Her voice was tight. I've dated people before. It's manageable. I know, I said. I'm sure it is. I just don't want to manage it. I heard her breathe out. Sharp. Wow. I'm sorry. You're immature, she said. You know that, right? This is the most immature thing I've ever heard. I understand why you'd think that. I don't think you do. Her voice was louder now. You're ending things with someone you supposedly liked because you can't be bothered to eat a different snack. Do you realize how insulting that is? My jaw tightened. I'm trying to be respectful of your time. Respectful. She laughed, but it wasn't a real laugh. You think this is respectful? I think it's more respectful than pretending I'm going to change and then not doing it. You could try. I don't want to. The words came out harsher than I meant them to. There was a long, awful silence. Wow, she said again. Okay, good to know. Emma. She hung up. I sat on my couch holding my phone, staring at the black screen. Hank came over and put his head on my knee. I scratched behind his ears. I'm an asshole, I told him. He wagged his tail. I texted Sarah about an hour later. I didn't explain everything, just said that Emma and I had decided not to keep seeing each other. She called me immediately. What happened? It just wasn't going to work out. Why not? You guys seemed great together. I don't know. Just wasn't a fit. Did you do something? I hesitated. Why do you assume I did something? Because Emma texted me and said you're a massive douche. I closed my eyes. She told you what happened? She said you canceled on her because you like peanuts too much. What does that even mean? I explained it. All of it. The peanut butter toast, the dog toys, the mental math I'd done about cross-contamination and EpiPens, and whether I was willing to restructure my life around someone else's medical needs. When I finished, Sarah was quiet. Say something, I said. I'm trying to figure out if you're serious. I'm serious. You ended things with a woman you really liked because you didn't want to give up Jif? It's not just a Jif. Then what is it? I don't want to have to think about everything I eat. I don't want to have to make my apartment into a peanut-free zone. I don't want to have to worry that I'm going to accidentally kill someone because I had Thai food for lunch. So you just gave up. I made a practical decision. You made a selfish decision. That one stung more than I expected. Maybe, I said. But we only went on 2 dates. It's not like I proposed and then bailed. 2 good dates, she said. 2 really good dates where she thought you were into her. I was into her. Not enough, apparently. I didn't have a response to that. Look, Sarah said. I'm not saying you're obligated to date anyone. If you don't want to deal with the allergy thing, fine. But don't act like this was some mature, logical choice. You got scared and ran. I didn't run. You absolutely ran. You decided it was too much work before you even tried. I know myself. I know I wouldn't follow through. Then maybe you shouldn't be dating anyone, she said. That one landed hard. Are you mad at me? I asked. She sighed. I'm not mad. I'm just, I don't know. Disappointed, maybe? I thought you were different than this. Different than what? Than a guy who can't handle the slightest inconvenience. We got off the phone a few minutes later. She wasn't mean about it, but the conversation felt colder than usual. I didn't hear from Emma again. I thought about texting her to apologize, but I couldn't figure out what I'd even say. Sorry, I didn't want to reorganize my life after 2 dates. Sorry I chose peanut butter over you. It all sounded worse out loud. I told 2 of my other friends about it over drinks the following weekend. I was expecting them to back me up, to tell me I'd made a reasonable call. Matt, who I've known since college, just stared at me. Dude, he said. What? That's fucked up. How's it fucked up? You met someone you actually liked, and you bailed because of a sandwich spread. It's more complicated than that. Is it though? James, who's usually the rational one, leaned back in his chair. I don't know, man. I kind of see his point. Thank you, I said. I mean, it's a big lifestyle change. If he's not willing to do it, better to be upfront now than 6 months in. Matt shook his head. It's peanuts. Peanuts. Not like a fundamental incompatibility. Not different life goals. Peanuts. It's not about the peanuts, I said. It's about whether I want to live in a relationship where I have to constantly monitor what I eat and what I touch. So no, then, Matt said. You don't. No, I don't. Then you probably should have figured that out before the second date. I didn't know she had an allergy before the second date. So when you found out, you just immediately decided it was a deal breaker? Not immediately. I thought about it for a few days. And your conclusion was that your snack routine is more important than a person you connected with. When you put it that way, it sounded worse. James took a sip of his beer. I think what Matt's trying to say is that it's a bad look. I know it's a bad look, I said. I'm not pretending it isn't. But I'd rather be honest now than drag it out and hurt her more later. You already hurt her, Matt said. That one stuck with me. I've thought about it a lot since then. About whether I made the right call. About whether I'm as selfish as Sarah thinks I am. About whether Matt's right and I sabotaged something good because I was scared. I keep coming back to the same conclusion. I wasn't ready to make those changes. And if I wasn't ready, then it wasn't fair to keep seeing her. But part of me wonders if not ready is just another way of saying not willing. I still eat peanut butter toast every morning. I still give Hank his Kong toy smeared with Jif. My apartment still smells faintly of peanut oil when I make stir fry. And sometimes, when I'm sitting on my couch at night scrolling through streaming services I'm not watching, I think about Emma, about the way she laughed at my dog's picture, about how easy it was to talk to her in that coffee shop. I wonder if she's dating someone now. I wonder if he gave up peanuts for her. I wonder if she still thinks I'm a douche. I texted Sarah last week to ask how Emma was doing. She left me on read. I don't blame her. I've been on dating apps again for a few weeks now. I've matched with a few people, had some decent conversations. Nothing that's led to a date yet. I'm thinking about getting rid of the peanut butter. Not because I'm hoping Emma will magically come back. I know that ship has sailed. But because every time I open a jar, I think about her. And maybe Matt's right. Maybe I did sabotage something good. Or maybe I just wasn't ready to be the kind of person who puts someone else's needs above their own comfort. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. But yeah, I canceled a third date over a peanut allergy. And depending on who you ask, that either makes me an asshole or just a guy who knew his limitations. I'm still not sure which one I am.
Alright, I'm out, but the next story is already on the way.